All right, everyone, welcome back to another seminar with myself, Shill Bill, for Elite Readers Club. Just going to jump in. Hopefully we can get this vid up before we do the live seminar in the Discord as well this week. So as normal, we'll probably go over the same kind of format. We'll jump through and have a look at all the coins that essentially affect the price of breeding, profitability, and like scholars and things like that. So anything that's in the Axie ecosystem, we'll have a look at the charts and sort of see what they're doing at the moment. So BTC is obviously the first. Whatever Biddy's doing is pretty much going to dictate the rest of the market, like I normally say. And we have had that sell-off and just sort of sitting in this, which looks like a bear flag. However, we kind of look like we're starting to break up to the upside. But no volume, which is the thing here. So like breaking out of this flag, I would have thought that it would have just sort of went sideways and then we would have fell at the bottom, closed below that 42 mark. But we sort of triple bottomed here at about 46k or so. Looks like breaking up, like we're above the 50 moving average now here, which is that blue line, but there's no volume. And like we haven't got that much further to go until RSI starts getting oversold. Best possible scenario is to get some volume in, sort of come up, hit that 52 mark, make that that higher low there, and then be able to break through and make sure we close above here. But while that looks good, it's weak. Like there's no volume, there's nothing. If we go to the daily, there's just no volume. Like we got MACD crossing. Let me just tidy this up a little bit here. So we got MACD crossing back over finally after it crossed over the wrong way back in 20th of October. So we've had that. Let's bring that up. So the MACD crossed over and we've just been seeing the wrong way. So now it's finally crossed this way and we're getting that histograph going green. So this is good. However, I still want to be above the mid part of it here. You can see here it sort of acts as resistance sometimes too. So the daily, it looks, that big bullish candle is great, but what I'm worried about is the volume. However, we'll see over the next couple of days sort of what's happening with Biddy. Is this its pullback? We did get that massive wick down to that 42k zone. So Biddy's sort of not doing much at the moment. So while it's not doing much, everything else is sort of having its turn. Let's have a look at the ETH BTC, which I was super bullish on, but now have gone a bit bearish just because of this lower high. So we had that nice trend line. We had multiple touches all the way up. We broke the trend, came back down, found support, found that around that 0.078 mark. Big bullish engulfing, came back up, tried to get back in this trend and rejected. So like once the trend breaks and it tries to get back in, rejects, and now we've just failed to sort of clear that 0.085 mark and we've created that new market structure. Not quite as yet, until we do close below that 0.078. However, if we've been looking back the weekly, this is what I was looking for on the weekly. It's just got, like, if you look at the bigger time frames, clearing this and there's just nothing left. Like it's just fresh air all the way up. Like we've got some wicks here and we've got that, obviously that double top. That double top's nearly 100% from where we are. And we're starting to slightly get some bearish divergence here. It's not much. On the weekly, we made a higher high here on the charts. However, you look at the RSI and we're making that lower high there. So there's a little bit of bearish divergence here on the charts for ETH and the weekly. But if we get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of that lower high. This was the area here that I wanted to close above, and we kind of just wicked right into it. Didn't quite get that weekly close. So anything above this, and ETH goes on an absolute tear against Bitcoin, and then doesn't really matter what Bitcoin's doing because it's pretty much 100% up. Bitcoin can drop by an absolute mile. If we close there on the weekly, we've got 80%. So which would be good for Axie, because everything is valued in ETH, right? So the more the ETH can go, the more US dollars your Axies are worth, the more your breeds are worth if you're profitable in breeding in ETH. One of the main points of why I'm in Axie is because I'm super bullish on ETH medium to long term, like the next 2 to 5 years, super bullish on ETH. I think it can beat Bitcoin. It pretty much has been beating Bitcoin since January 2020. Like, you were better off holding ETH than you were holding Bitcoin. You can see here that it's just beaten it the whole way. So I think if we can break this, we are going to keep moving up. So for me and Axie, it's, you know, as much ETH or things that I own that are priced in ETH, the better. This chart still looks great in the weekly. Let's pop to the 4 hour. While Bitty's having a bit of a run up, you can sort of see what's happening here. I was waiting for this. I think this is the last video we did where I was just sort of waiting for it to sort of just consolidate a little bit sideways after breaking this trend. But we've sort of just bounced up and down, up and down. We're back in that sort of channel now, between the 4K and 4400s. There's a good 10% in between there. So just waiting to see what happens there. If we delete some of these, let's have a look. We've kind of broken that. We've kind of broken a downtrend here. We've had multiple touches and we've broken that. Still a little bit of resistance here, but I do think, especially if Bitcoin keeps making its move up, ETH shouldn't get too smashed unless it gets pretty violent in its moves, and we start going back. Then we just sort of just range in between this channel for a while until we start closing above it properly. Just happy for ETH just to move a bit sideways. This is the chart of death. SLP versus ETH. Oh, it's starting to get real ugly. Starting to get some real big sell-offs where RSI is getting down to like 7. It got down to 14 before I had that little bit of a pump. Getting small spikes in volume. Most of these spikes are from news though, but you can see the overall trend of volume here is just up and up and up. It's because there's so much SLP in the just around. We'll have a look later on the mint burn chart to give a bit more insight into that, of sort of like why it's not only a problem moving forward, but we have to fix a problem that's been there for the last probably 5 months or so, where the mint versus burn really got out of hand because all the SLP is still around somewhere. It's sitting in wallets, it's sitting on exchanges. A bunch of it's probably getting staked for Ron, but most of it is just floating around. So again, 50 moving average, it's just been the bane of this pair's existence, right? We've watched it since July. Got the death cross. Every single time it's touched, rejected. We get out for a bit with news, straight back in. Get out for a bit with news, straight back in. And we're just consistently, every time we get news, we break above it. We just can't create that new market structure. So we get the pump, but we don't get the follow-up. And that was about as close as we got here. So when I'm talking about market structure, I mean just like higher highs and higher lows. So we got that. So we got the pump, come back here, make that higher low, but we have to make that higher high to start creating that new market structure so we can start moving up. But at the moment, with the mint burn problem, no version 2, everything going on, there's just this consistent downward selling pressure and just way more people just hold. Like the amount of SLP that must just be floating around, being held around at the moment, just in wallets waiting for sort of some exits, is astronomical. So again, we're back below that. It's not looking good. Just consistently, and even when we had that last little pump here where we had it, and the breeding cost in SLP just went up crazy. It's now the dominant cost versus AXS. If you're looking at the pair, it's like 3 to 1. In dollar sense, like you got that 60% pump, but look where it closed. But back again, it just can't get past this 50 moving average. It just every single time, just can't get past it. So unless ETH, goes to 20k, and this thing can't really keep going down too much further. Like we're down probably 95% or something from the all-time high that we had in July. This reflects on the USD chart. Big descending triangle, and we broke to the downside, hit all targets for that. I think we had it on this one as well. That was a better triangle that we did draw, where we had this level of support at 6 cents, and it was such a strong level, and it finally broke. And you can see here, if we zoom in, once things break as support, they become resistance, and you can see how many times they just try to get back in, try to get back in, try to get back in, before eventually just dumping. And we drew this squiggle on the charts a few videos ago when we were getting to that end. So that was either going to break upwards or we're going to fall at the bottom of the triangle. And I do target the bottom of the triangle being the high side. So that's pretty much, if we did draw it in, this is what I'm targeting, the downside when it finally breaks, which was a perfect for the 3.5 cents, and which I've been calling for forever. That's what we're going back to, and unfortunately we've now broken the 3.5 cents, and the floor is anyone's guess here, where the bottom is. We're just going to have to keep going, and hopefully that the team come out with version 2, some good minting, and fix up a lot of the problems that they've got with SLP. AXS, we'll look at the USD chart. That's what we're looking for here. Last video, we were in that box, finally broke down that big wick to the upside. Again, back below that 50 moving average. We drew the squiggle. We were going to come back. We fell out of the box. I was going to come back, retest the top of the box, which is now resistance because we've got so much structure over to the left, and looking at it to come down and hit that $80.93. $80.93 was my target. Had alert set, didn't quite get there. However, we're still not out of the woods yet. Still can probably get there. However, if we're looking at AXS, we've got that level. So for the short term, I would be wanting it to close on the 4 hour, back above that box. But even if we do, right, there's only, say we get there, we close, come back, retest that level of support. The next level that we're going to get to, like where are you really going to trade? Are you trading into the top of this box, which is, held as support, which will now be some pretty brutal resistance. Plus you're going to have the 200 moving average to deal with. So if we get to there, the only trade would be for me, there's still 10% without leverage. If putting on my trader's hat, I would still, if we get a close above here and we do come back and retest that $104 mark, I probably would be looking at, taking a long. Keeping it, it's probably still going to be worth it. Taking just before that box, you can probably, what are you going to get? 3-to-1 risk reward. Definitely be taking that. So as a trader, that's what I'm looking for AXS. But we're still going to have that as a long-term, holding for AXS. But scalping a little bit in between there, 10% of whatever your thing is for breeds. Now it's only half an AXS. Not bad either, but at least we're back above that 50, and hopefully we can get back up. But that's what I'll be looking for AXS. So a quick look at the SLP mint burn. It hasn't done anything, right? We're actually getting less. We're burning less than we were before, and the price has gone up 3 times. So you think, back here when we were burning 50, whatever, 50k, we should be burning 150. It's not. We're still burning the 50k. It's just that less Axies are getting made. So I guess it's kind of good because less Axies are getting made, and adding to the massive amounts of SLP getting minted each day. Like the future problems are kind of a little bit fixed with that because we're breeding a bunch less, or breeding less Axies. But all this problem, right? So if you look at all this red here, everything that's in red, that's between there. So you just the difference every single day. It'd be great to go through. I could probably look it up on the market cap, right? But how much is sort of floating around? But it's at least, you pick anywhere, there's at least a couple of 100,000 extra every single day. Or sorry, a couple of 100 million SLP every single day that we have to deal with. So it's not only getting this under control now, we've got the problem of all this red in this chart. So all of that has to get dealt with as well. Otherwise, all that is still going to have massive amounts of selling pressure because people are going to want to offload that. A lot of people probably is managers just sort of holding it, waiting for a decent price of SLP again, just not burning. They're not burning as much, just holding an absolute massive stack for when version 2 comes out, and they're probably going to get rid of it then when we have a next price spike. But there's just so much, that we have to deal with on top of just fixing the burn mint problem, because this is months and months. Pretty much since the start of the year, May. Yeah, so May, June, July, when Axie really started kicking off. So we've got, what's that, 6 months, 7 months worth of, you know, millions of SLP a day that we have to figure out what we can do with this SLP to get it back to where it should be sitting. Let's have a look. In a bit of a comparison to what Peg Axie are doing, I'm a massive Pega bull at the moment, but the ROI is crazy. Like 15 days. Let me just grab where are we? We need that rocket sack. If we look at the mint burn on Pega, right, every single day, we're burning more than minting, burning more than minting, burning more than minting, and everyone's like, okay, cool, that's good. Even the price of this is dipping at the moment. Then we have a massive mint day from all the founding, but we still burn stacks. And pretty much after that, we're still now burning. I want to see if this can repeat itself here, and we're burning more. So it all gets minted, and then that slowly gets sold off, and the demand just like keeps growing. So people need to be like, if more is getting burned than minted most days, except for the big claims, you're gonna have the big dips in the chart, but overall, it's healthy because you're just slowly eating up all this excess between here and here every single day. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We got to deal with all this months and months and months of neglect from Axie, of not fixing this problem because it is now so out of hand that the charts are they're dead. Like there's nothing that can really fix this except for we start burning Axie, start burning way more SLP. Like the next land sale, make it an SLP, and then just burn it and let people just get rid of, you know, stacks and stacks of all of this red, and they can get rid of it. Everyone that's been hoarding it can, you know, make good and, you know, burn it all off against to, but at least get something, you know, pretty decent for it. What else are we looking at? That's my Scholar Market Analyzer. Alright, I might stop it here and we'll jump into the next part of the video where I put my manager breeder hat on.